Hey, what's up everybody? MGM here. Have you seen The Mushroom Man? Seriously guys, today's video is a game showcase of an independent game that caught my eye and I feel more people should know about it. That's Grit Fantasy RPG. Now this is not connected to my series of recommended companies or games as alternative to that Hasbro game. But what this is here is what I really wanted to do on my channel, and that's to show off great games that I come across and I feel should get more attention. This game completely fits that mold. As per usual, I've not been paid for any of this. This is a copy of the book that I bought myself, so that hasn't been provided to me either. I have, however, chatted with the game's creator, Jeremy Pete, prior to this. He's a super cool guy and somebody who I think really fits into the tabletop game world so perfectly well and created a game that fits my channel so perfectly well. I'll link his YouTube channel below. Definitely check his channel out. Now, right away, the aesthetic of Jeremy's game here drew me in at first, but I gotta admit, I was pulled into a nice little rules light system that I found myself kind of vibing with right away. It definitely fits the mission of my channel in that it is a game made by an independent creator, has some great and fresh ideas, artwork done by an actual human, great roll tables, and a game that overall I feel just makes sense. The bonus is that it favors the GM's ease of prep and running the game. So if you like rules light games, don't go away so that you can hear a little more about Grit Fantasy RPG. Now, before I take you to the PDF, let me tell you a little bit more about this rules light fantasy game. Now, the creator of Grit, Jeremy Pete, released Grit in July of this year, and that's 2024 when I'm recording this. Now, Jeremy, he's been in the game business for a while, but when it comes to Grit, he designed the game itself, wrote the rules, and did all of the artwork himself. Now, that gets automatic respect from yours truly, and definitely embodies my channel and what it was created for. But let me tell you some notable things about Grit right off the top. It represents 8 years of work by someone who has been in the game industry for years. Now, check out his YouTube channel, and you'll hear a lot more about that in his own words. I certainly don't want to put words in his mouth. Check out his channel. Watch some of the videos about Grit. He goes into some of that, especially in the early videos. It is a 5-stat D12 system. And I got to tell you, the D12 is really refreshing to me. And I think it's actually a really great die to use as your main die. And it's really refreshing, especially if you're only used to D20 games. It incorporates roll tables that can generate adventures, monsters, and more throughout the book, and has this really unique aesthetic that adds a really good and distinct feel to the game. I gotta tell you, the artwork really drew me in right away. It has such a unique tone, almost like it gives you the ability to have like that gritty, darker game while still having room for humor. And I think that's really not easy for a lot of people to do when it comes to artwork. And he really hit that on the head. When I take you to the PDF, you'll get to see examples of the artwork there of what Jeremy did, and you'll get to see what I'm talking about. But just even the front cover alone, you kind of get that aesthetic there. And I really, really appreciate that more than I can put into words here. But also when it comes to the system itself, there's like a focus die system that I'll show you when we're at the PDF that I think you'll also really like. But before I give everything away, let's go to the PDF so I can show you what I like so much about Grit Fantasy RPG. Hey guys, here at the PDF. Just a reminder, I like to use a PDF because I feel you get a much better view of what I'm looking at. Before we get started, I just want to say that I won't necessarily exhaustively cover every single page because I always think a little mystery is good, and I also really hope that more people will pick the game up and find out for themselves what an awesome game this really is. I'll also admit right away, I really, really like this game, and it will definitely be part of my personal permanent game rotation. Now, let's take a look at some of the stuff about this game that I really like. Take a quick pause here at the credits. Notice design, writing, and art by Jeremy Pete. Shout out to Ryan James for the editing and layout. Thanks, inspirations, all that stuff. Credit where credit's due. All right, starting right away with the core concepts. Just to give a good look, this gives you just a very basic overlay of everything. It's a D12 system, as you see, and that's something I like. I just want you to check out the artwork here for a second. This is exactly that aesthetic I'm telling you about. There's just something about this style of art, this aesthetic, that gives you both that super creepy, like dark, grim vibe, but also leaves that room for humor. And I know I've said it at least once, if not twice by now. It's not easy to do that, in my opinion. Maybe it is easy and it's just showing my ignorance when it comes to drawing, but to me, like from the many, many games I've looked through, that very specific balance isn't always easy to capture in artwork. And he just does it so well here. I just wanted to point that out. So here at the core rules, you see what I was talking about with the primary die being D12, and I really like that. I'm really becoming more fond of the D12 as a primary die. But there's also these focus dice, D4, D6, D8. Now these are dice that you can use to add to any dice roll, and you can use it after a roll is made, which is really nice. Now the thing is, once you use it, it's gone until the next session, so long as it's reasonable. So I really, really like this. This is one of those little rules that would fit in almost any tabletop game. So this part of the core rules is something I wanted to talk a little bit about. First, talking about the initiative system, basically, where there is no set system. It's collaborative between the GM and the players. It's very similar to how I run initiative at my table most of the time. I just make it intuitive as to what's happening in the situation the best I can. Also, when we look at the next section, movement and range, it's very simple and basic. There's no exact measurements. There's melee range, there's short, and there's long. Simple, to the point. Everything is an approximation, and again, collaborative between player and GM. These are things about games like this that I really love and enjoy. And then finally, we talk about grit. Grit is essentially the life points of a PC or a monster. PCs get a maximum of 10 that can never be exceeded, where monsters can get more than that. I really like this little system. I like it where there's always a danger that even at a high level or high experience or however the game is run, that there's still a very present chance of death always in the background. And I like the way Grit spells that out in a way that just makes it easy for the GM and the players to get on board with. So well done there. Now, when we're talking about the aspects, there's 5 aspects instead of your typical 6, but the way these aspects lay out and their descriptions are, I would say, spot on. I mean, it is a very, very well thought out system, and the aspects really detail that, I feel. This is probably one of my favorite systems like this because it's familiar yet fresh and new at the same time in its own way, and I really, really like that. So I wanted to point that out here really quick. When we're talking about gear, you have 10 slots, and that's it. All PCs get 10 slots, and you have to manage that with your gear. This is another way where prepping for both the players and the GM is just a little easier. It's very easy to navigate. 10 slots, you get to use this. And then they give you kits, and kits are awesome because it takes up a single slot but may contain like a small collection of items, and that's really cool and useful. But I really, really like soak. Armor and shields absorb and reduce the amount of damage that your player character is going to take. So if a player character has a shield with a soak of 2, they get hit for 6, they only take 4. That's brilliant. And I think a lot of people really like it better when armor and shields just absorb damage, because that's literally what they're created to do. Just a great system. I like the soak system a lot. Now here in the miscellaneous section, I really like the idea that there's no real advancement. Characters really grow in character. Not only is it their experience that defines them, it's going to be the gear that they get, the artifacts they might find. And I like that. It's a flexible system, and you can easily write in artifacts and items that are magic or give abilities to a player to make them feel like they've leveled up, make them feel like they're part of a class. Things like that are quite easy with this game, and I like that. And also gives just some really quick but down-to-earth good advice for players in this section. And kudos for that. That's really succinct but well done. Another quick check at artwork. Now let's talk characters, and this is one of the things I love about Grit, is you have some very unique and different lineages that you can choose from great ideas, and I really enjoy it. To me, this is one of the things that really drew me in the game. I love seeing original and different lineages and heritages that people can play, and I think 12 is actually the perfect amount as far as choices when you have these nice original choices. Now, one of the things I really enjoy about the lineages in Grimm is immediately it gives you an idea of their general demeanor, whether this comes from the culture they come from or whether this is just naturally born into them. That's up to you. But I really like that it gives you a very basic base idea and then you kind of take it from there. And of course, each lineage has something that's special for them. But I wanted to show this off here because it's the Froom, mushroom guys, people like that. And there's a connection with mushroom men in my personal home games. Stopping here before we leave lineages, the Quickling and the Ruckwar. These two are great examples of just something that's a little bit different, but familiar at the same time, but different enough that it makes you curious and makes you want to try it out. Something I really enjoy about this is that your characters get unique gear right off the bat. And there's a list of gear you can roll on, and of course you can always take that inspiration and write in something that you want instead and just give that to your players. But giving your players something unique right off the bat is, I feel, something everybody kind of looks for in a fantasy game, especially because so many fantasy games are based off the idea of receiving something special and unique that sends you into adventure. And you can really play that up with this. There's just something about that I think I really vibe with really well and just speaks to me a lot. So I don't know if that is something anybody else will be into as much as me, but I really like that idea. Big thumbs up for that one too. Now, there is a GM's guide and grid here, and I gotta tell you, there's just some really solid advice. This first page alone really gives you a good idea of the type of game you're going to be playing, and I really like the advice here. It really is focused on not prepping too hard and having more fun in the game, I feel, and that's exactly what my channel is about. Now, right here, I want to stop really quick at the GM's guide on the monster stat block. And this is one of those other things that just is taking the GM's prep into consideration and making it very easy. You have 3 numbers basically for any monster or NPC that you want. That's the universal aspect value, and this will just be one number you roll for aspects. So they don't have like +5 in this, +2 in this. If they have a +1, they roll a +1 for every aspect. If they have a -2, they roll -2 for every aspect, so on and so forth. Simple, streamlined, I really like it. The second number is their grit. And then the last one is the number of actions and or reactions a monster can take per round. And those 3 numbers are all you need to run a monster in combat. That is amazing in my book. I love the fact that that's it. That's all you need. And I feel this is one of the major reasons why converting modules from other systems even into this system would be very easy. So if you have D20 modules or even just modules from other systems, you can easily bring them over into Grit and make it work with this system. And I don't think you'd even need to do a lot of work for it. Something that Jeremy said was that I like the roll tables, and he was not wrong about that. This is just the story builder one, and I just got to tell you, the roll tables are great, and they're all D20 tables. And the thing I like about it is that it gives you enough that if there's something missing, you can easily just add it in yourself. And that's one of the pillars of old school style gaming, is taking ideas and then making it into what you want it to be, and these roll tables do that very, very well. So well done once again. Very, very well thought out roll tables. Now let's take a look at monsters really quick. We have simple stat blocks. You get some really solid advice on narrating, giving features and description. And it really gives you a lot of opportunity to create, to port from other systems. I just really like that. Here's a good example of how you can use these simple blocks in a tier system almost, just to easily streamline dropping in monsters. Here's a basic idea of what stat blocks might look like. Simple, easy. You could do this on the fly if you need to. Really, really like it. I mean, double thumbs up for that. Now, I'm not going to go through every monster, but I'm going to show a couple that I think are really cool, or just because I want you to check out the artwork again. Like this giant centipede, that is an awesome picture. Take a look at that just for a second. Just well done art. I love the art in this book. The giant toad is just one I really like. I don't think this is used enough in tabletop games, and it again looks creepy but kind of silly at the same time, and I absolutely love the way that it looks. Now, stopping in the monster manual on the monsters that seem to be unique to Grit itself, the Gloop Gore. What a freaky but awesome monster. Look at that. Look at that picture. And last one from the monster manual I'm going to show you guys is the Vine Witch. Just freaky. Just awesome to throw at your players. I'm hoping to write a small adventure using this as the main monster. That looks like it's going to be fun. There's also this super, super awesome monster builder. And this is another one of those things that Jeremy told me that I would really like. And gosh darn it, you are so right about that, sir. The 12 tiers of stat blocks is amazing for even just reference if you're trying to make something on the fly. The narrative tags, everything about this monster builder, there's features, this goes on. I'm not going to show you the entire monster builder, but suffice to say that the monster builder is amazing and a great addition to the already well thought out, well drawn monsters. And once more, you can use these grouping of stat blocks when you're porting in monsters from other game systems. Easily add a stat block to it and move forward. I really enjoy that. Now, something else I won't go into a huge delve into is the loot. There is about 20 pages of tons of loot and examples of loot, and even roll tables to get some randomized loot to your players. Just another well done section in this very, very well thought out and small but packed full of information book. At the very back of the book, a tribute to the heroes. Those players or player characters that were in the play testing, both Valiant and Fallen, a tribute to them, and that's great. That's a great little touch at the end. I really, really like that. And we come to the end. Now, I gotta tell you that my love for this game is difficult for me to hide, honestly. And all in all, I don't really have any criticism of this game except for one real nitpicky one. And I usually don't add in a criticism. In this case, I'm doing it to showcase just how seamless and well thought out this game was. With almost any other game that I've showcased on this channel, there's still going to be a handful of rules that I'm going to change or just omit. And I couldn't really find that in this game. The one thing I found that I might change or drop would be the dual wielding rule, but other than that, the only other nitpick I can come up with is that in the physical book, the inside cover was blank, and that'd be an awesome place to put in like a rules reference, a chart or two, maybe condition or consideration, or something like that. But that just goes to show you how well the game itself is thought out, that's the problem I had. So that's by no means a deal breaker for the game at all, and I can't gush about how much I really, really like this system and the way it's set up. It's just a really fun game to play, and that's what my channel is all about. So let's head back to the table for some closing thoughts on this excellently put together rules-light system. I hope that you guys can see what an awesome game that Grit is. There are links to Jeremy's channel and to DriveThruRPG where you can find the game in the section below. Now, in the DriveThruRPG description, Grit is described as a game for one-shots and short adventures. But I disagree with this a little bit. I feel this system can be used for longer form campaigns, especially if you're playing an episodic style of game, similar to a Monster or Job of the Week type of game, where character stories are more the focus than some overarching world event per se. Now, more on those distinctions coming in a video in the future, so I'll leave that one there as it is. But I also feel that with Grit, adapting OSR or D20 system adventure modules would actually be pretty easy, as this system is very adaptable and simple enough to convert monsters and NPC stats because of how it favors the GMs and makes it really streamlined and easy to do that. I gotta say, the creator of Grit, Jeremy Pete, he's just a really, really cool guy and a great GM on top of that. I really hope that this game gets more attention because it's one of those types of games that can be picked up by just about anybody and enjoyed right away. From the newest player or GM to the most experienced, Grit Fantasy RPG represents a game that is accessible to anyone and does what any good rules-light system does, in my opinion and the opinion of my channel here. It remains flexible in its rules, and the focus is really on the characters. It does all that while making GM prep and running the game simple, fast, fun, and seamless. And I really think I appreciate that most of all as a GM. Add on to all that some really great artwork, original lineages, a fresh dice system, and just some other really small but fresh ideas, some sweet roll tables, and for me, as far as this channel is concerned, that is the recipe for an excellent rules-light game system. But okay, I get it. I better stop right about here. But I gotta thank you everybody for watching this one. Big shout out to Jeremy Pete. You're an awesome dude. I love your game and I look forward to playing this for years to come. Honestly, this is one of those games that was just instant love for me. As soon as I learned the rules and, got into the aesthetic of the game, it was instant love. Instantly part of my permanent rotation, and I really appreciate that. So just thanks for being an awesome guy. When you get this game, it's another one of those games like some of the others I've recommended where you can just feel good about getting the game because you're really supporting an independent guy who's a genuinely good guy from my interactions with him. And I've probably interacted with him a little bit more than some of the other people I've interacted with when it comes to RPG creators. But he's just a super, super good guy who has really good ideas for RPGs, and it just feels good being able to support somebody like that in this industry, especially in this day and age. And when we're in this kind of golden age of tabletop RPGs, there's just a sea of very similar things out there, and this really brings something a little bit fresh and original to the table, and that's something that this channel and me once again just totally loves and supports. I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to the Grit Discord community. Again, there's a bunch of awesome people over there with some really good ideas and just cool people. And it's always great that in the tabletop space, finding cool people is actually a lot easier than sometimes the internet makes it seem. So the Grit community is just another example of a community that surrounds a game that's just very open, very welcoming, very creative. And those are things I really look for when it comes to a game, like what their following and their groups do. And Grit already has a really good following of creative people. So big shout out to all you guys out there. You're all awesome people and keep doing what you do. Last shout out I want to give is to you for watching me. Thanks so much for hearing me rant about my favorite hobby now and again. Please stay tuned. I got a lot more to come in the future, and I hope that it's entertaining and maybe even a little educational for you. But hey guys, in this golden age of tabletop RPGs, it's really easy to lose yourself in a sea of copies. Grit is the shining gem among the dull stones that you might just be looking for to play for fun first. Thanks for watching, everybody.